Hi y'all, it's Amy in my kitchen again, and I feel like I can say y'all. I'm allowed now since I'm still here in Texas. This is actually another request from my daughter. She suggested I do this. She remembers, I guess, growing up with this when she was a kid. It's my take on vegetable balsamic glazed meatloaf. I came across this recipe when I was still young, learning how to cook for my family, and it just sounded good to me, and I've used it ever since. I love it. It takes a little bit more time, there's some prep work, but it comes together so quickly and it tastes so good. It's so worth the extra little effort. And if you're trying to get some extra veggies into your kids' diet, this is the way, like, to hide it in there, because they will never even know. Because let's face it, meatloaf is not like the prettiest dish, but it's a comfort food. We all love it. It tastes so good, and so that's what I'm gonna do for you. So I already started prepping because this takes a while and you don't need to like watch me chop forever and ever and ever. But I also wanted to show you another tool that I have that I use a lot. And I think I got the box out in case anybody was curious and wanted to know what this is. I'm sure I just got this on Amazon one day, and I actually love it because I use it mostly for onions, because it chops onions like so fast and quick. And then, you know, you're not frying like I always do. But it has all these different little blades that you can do different cuts. You can do like strips, large dice, square ones. What I'm doing today, because I needed like really fine. If you get a large zucchini at the grocery store, that's fine. They only have little tiny small ones, so I just use 2. And this is a whole yellow bell pepper. And then I'm just gonna do a few of these to show you because it's loud. You have to get little, you know, small squares that will fit into this, and the key is to getting them like thin. If you're cutting other vegetables, they need to be thin, so it does this like small dice. You literally just put it in there and close it. Look how fast and easy that was, right? I didn't have to cut with my knife for hours and hours and hours, and it's perfect every time. So there's my red pepper, and then I have 5 garlic cloves. Believe it or not, but that's, you know, this is a large meatloaf, and you want to taste the garlic in that. So I have a saute pan with a little bit of olive oil in it, and I'm just going to turn it on high as I do, just to get it going. And then I will just put all of this in together and just soften it all up a little bit. You don't want to cook the vegetables to death. If you are trying to hide these, then go ahead and kill them to death. That's fine. Then your kids won't know. Then to this, I am just going to sprinkle some red pepper flakes. Don't need to measure, just put some in there. A little salt, some pepper. I probably need a little bit more olive oil, so I'm just gonna do another dollop. Starting to sizzle now. Just let it do its thing, letting it cook for a minute. But you can do that. It's fine. So I don't really know how long to tell you that I do this for. I just kind of look for it to soften up a little and get that garlic cooked down a little bit so everything gets flavored. The meatloaf that I grew up with when I was a kid didn't have vegetables in it. I know typical meatloaf has breadcrumbs as a binder. And my mom actually used Ritz crackers. Those buttery Ritz crackers are just all crushed up and so good. It's like that, I don't know, it's the right flavor for meatloaf for some reason. But if you try this, you will love it. I know it seems like a lot of vegetables. See, meatloaf should be moist and tender, I think, and the vegetables just help do that. It's so good. Yeah, this recipe doesn't have onions in it, because there's 5 cloves of garlic. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. I'm going to take these off. And I just put them right back on the same plate that they were before, and I just spread it out a little bit so that they cool faster, because you kind of want this to cool down a little bit before you stick it into the meat mixture, because there's also eggs in there as a binder, and you don't want scrambled eggs in here I have a pound of ground beef and a pound of ground sausage. And then to this is the easy part where everything just goes into the pool. 1 cup of panko breadcrumbs. If you have just regular breadcrumbs, you can totally use that, it's fine. But the panko ones are really light and crispy, I like them. 1/2 cup of ketchup. 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. There's 2 eggs in here, and you can put the eggs in a bowl and scramble them first if you want to do that, but I always just throw it in there. It's all going to get mixed up together. And then there's some herbs. I have some fresh parsley. This meatloaf really is pretty. I know I said earlier that meatloaf is not pretty, but there's so many colors in this. I love it. And you have leftovers for days. Leftover meatloaf is so good. For sandwiches, or just eating it just like for dinner the next day so you don't have to cook. It's like bonus. I'm so lucky that my hubby likes leftovers. He does not complain. Some people don't. I actually made this recipe for him last summer, before we were married, and that's when I really was trying to impress him. And I accidentally cooked it too long in the oven, which you want to be careful with this. It's got that ketchup and balsamic glaze on it, which is a lot of sugar, so it can burn really quickly, easily, and it's also at a high temperature. It's at 425, by the way, in the oven. Most people make a meatloaf in a loaf pan, and which is fine. That's the typical way to do it. This one is actually freestanding alone on its own, like on a cookie sheet, and you just mold it into the shape of a loaf. And so you can really have it the size that you want it so that it cooks in the time that you want it to. So it can be like, you know, not thick like it would be in a loaf pan. It can be thinner, a little wider. I'll show you. Cooks evenly, cooks faster, even though it does need to be in there for an hour. Just rough chop. This is, fresh thyme from my garden, which I'm so proud to say. So I have to. It's beautiful. I love it. Okay, so you can see all of that. You can use a spoon if you want to use this to mix the meatloaf up. But I kind of came up with a trick. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I don't like meat in my fingernails, and it's hard to, the grease that gets all over your fingers when you're mixing up meat just doesn't feel good. I don't like it. So I started a long time ago. I have these vinyl gloves that these are actually what I use to dye my hair. But it turns out they're good for meatloaf too. But make sure you get the no powder ones. So there's different types. You can get them. I think I even get these at the grocery store, but you may have to go to the drugstore. But this is I love this. No mess. And then, you know, I really should have brought the camera over here so you can see. I'll do it in a second so you can see. But you don't want to overmix this. You just want to get everything incorporated as quickly as you can so that you don't overwork the meat, because ground beef can tend to get a little bit tough if you mess with it too much. But you want all those veggies mixed in. Oh, and I can smell the balsamic vinegar in this, which I love it. It's so yummy. Just washed off my hands really quick because I did want a little bit more salt and pepper in this. Hard to do with gloves on. Another dash of this. I know it's in the vegetables, but my honey likes spicy stuff. So we're kicking up this meatloaf. It's for him. Actually, I said this is for you, sissy. I don't know why you call her that. She's a married woman. Actually, it's been a fun year. She and I both got married in the same year. Never thought I'd say that. So I have a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper down. And I'm just gonna put that on there. And here's where you mold it into the shape you want. You can see how much this is. Like, if I had even more, if I had veal added to this, we'd be having meatloaf for weeks. You can actually freeze it too, though. Then you've got dinner in the freezer for when you don't want to cook. You can see, I don't even know if I would call this a loaf. I guess if you were making a meatloaf pan, which you can do, this would probably be 2 meatloafs in 2 different loaf pans. But I don't know, it seems like all the fat and all the grease and everything just kind of like all stays together in the loaf pan, where this, like, the fat sort of like rolls away from the meat, which is nice. So look how nice that is. Clean. That's the shape. So in here I have 1/2 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar, and maybe 2 teaspoons of red pepper flakes. And I'm just gonna whisk that together. It's pretty typical to have some sort of a ketchup glaze. Some people do sweet and sour. The one that I was telling you earlier that my mom makes with Ritz crackers, she would do ketchup with dried mustard and nutmeg. I think a little brown sugar. So it was almost like a sweet and sour. Oh, you wouldn't expect that that would be good, like the nutmeg, but it is so good. It's yummy. So I just kind of pour this on top and spread it out. It smells so good. You cannot go wrong with balsamic vinegar. It's just yummy. I don't know, especially this time of year, we've been having lots of salads with that sort of dressing on them lately. With cheese and strawberry salads. Okay. I have the oven, as I said, on 425. Put it in. Oh, it's heavy. I told you it's an hour and 15 minutes or so. Just watch it. I mean, it's one of those things you can't really tell. When meatloaf is done, you just go with what they tell you, how long to do it for. And this will be done, I can tell you that. It's time to take the meatloaf out. It smells so good in here. Oh my gosh. And it's so big. See? It gets toasty on top. Bring this over to show you. I know it looks like it's burnt, but it's not. Trust me, it's perfect. And you just need to let it sit here and rest for about 10 minutes. And then we'll slice it and look inside. This is what it looks like. Cooled for about 10 minutes. I sliced it up, put some fresh parsley on it so it's got a little bit of color. If you have a beautiful large platter like this one, it's so nice if you're having this for company. Hubby's gonna be home soon. I'm waiting for him to come so that we can whip up a caprese salad together as a side dish for this. And it's beautiful because it's bright and colorful. The red tomatoes look so pretty with the meatloaf, and it tastes so good too. Oh, yeah. Stop. I already told him you're gonna slice and dice, which is what she loves to do. Is this the knife that you want to use?
Super sharp.
Yeah, I know, because you
just sharpened it.
Yeah. I love when you do that. I have so much more fun cooking when my knives are sharp after you sharpen them. What's so funny is that I actually like put up with them the way that they are, just thinking, oh, there's nothing I can do about this.
You needed a man.
Yeah, I did. You're the man, honey. Thank you. So I just went and got some fresh basil from our garden. So I'm going to chiffonade that.
Wow, that smells strong.
Doesn't it smell so good?
Yeah.
Don't you think that this is a good side salad
I
to
love
go
salad.
with this?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
This is reduced balsamic glaze, which you can make yourself. You just have to put balsamic vinegar in a little pot and just boil it down until it's thick and syrupy. But you can buy it also like this. It's so convenient, and just drizzle it right on top. You remember what chiffonade is, honey?
Nope.
You roll up the basil leaves into like a little pile, really tight, like this, and then you just slice. This is called chiffonade. Perfectly slices the basil so that it's the size that you want, just to sprinkle like right on top, like in the little ribbons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now it's even stronger smelling.
I know. Look how pretty this is. I just love it. You can't have an Italian dish without having an olive oil on it. I think. You don't know. What am I asking you?
I'm just the help.
I'm gonna drizzle this on first. So the basil is like the last thing on top. Like then it loosens up a little bit, and you can make like a pretty little zigzag pattern. But black pepper. Then this, and it's so pretty. I love the colors of the Italian flag. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. And this is gonna go perfect with our meatloaf tonight. There you go. Vegetable balsamic glazed meatloaf for the caprese salad. And we will put the recipe below in the description. I hope you guys try this. I know it seemed like it was a lot of work, but so worth it. You can't wait to have this, right, honey?
Yeah.
Have a good night, you guys.